Okay, you guys, I am so excited tonight. I have Kortney on with us. I actually did a opportunity event with her. Gosh, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Probably was longer than that, but with everything going on, it feels like the freaking days are months, and I'm not exactly sure when things were anymore. But I'm so excited to have her on. I had heard about her like right when I joined. Pretty sure we joined pretty close together. And this chick went presidential in like 4 months, and I was a Ruby, and I was like, cool. That's awesome. But it's cool because guess what? Now we are both Ambassador Diamonds, which is so awesome. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear from her. So, Kortney, I just want you to share your story. There were so many parts that I didn't know. And like the crazy thing is, you know, what things look from the outside. It's always temporary, and people always remember those good times about other people, and they forget the good times about themselves. And it's so easy to forget the bad times about other people and remember the bad times that happened to us. And so I'm just excited for people to hear your whole story, the ups, the downs. I'm super big on just being transparent and speaking truth and not sugarcoating anything. And so I'm so excited to have you on. So just share with us about your life with this business and even out of it.
Okay, awesome. So my story kind of gets, I said, like the longer you're in this business, the longer your stories end up getting. Like, so I said, it's been 5 years since I joined this business, so just bear with me. But literally in April of 2015, so I just had my 5-year mark. I joined this business under Courtney Bohr. At the time, I was going to school full time at Oklahoma State, finishing up my degree. I was 24 years old. I was engaged and I was planning my wedding to Ryan, and we've been dating since we were in high school. So we've been together 12 years. And then I was also working full time, going to school, and planning my wedding. And so I was following Kortney on Instagram for literally over a year. I was one of those people that literally was like, there's no way this 19-year-old girl makes this much money. Like, I actually was one of those people that unfollowed her. I was like, she posts like 20 times a day about this business that's like probably not even real. So I ended up unfollowing her. Well, then she I think went on another following spree probably. Well, she ended up following me again. And so I was like, oh, well, I mean, she's cute, like whatever. So I ended up following her back. Well, it wasn't until Ryan lost his dad. His dad passed away at 42 from a brain aneurysm, and Ryan's dad was only 17 when they had Ryan, and his mom was 15. And so basically, Ryan really like grew up with his parents, and so he had a younger siblings that were a lot younger than him. So he moved 2 hours down here to where we live now to help his mom with his siblings. I was 2 hours away going to school, and I just kept thinking, there was just something I could do to compensate for the weekends I was working. And I kept seeing Kortney's posts, and I'm like, oh, well, like, what if this did work? What if she does make that much money? Like, what if this would just be something on the side I could do to make an extra $500 a month? I don't even know if I could do that, but I mean, just an extra $200 or $300 would compensate for those weekends. And I could spend them down here with Ryan while he was going through literally the worst thing ever. And so I messaged Kortney and ended up joining right on the spot. But I literally had no idea what I was getting myself into or what was about to happen. But I joined, and I had been watching her for so long. Like, I knew how she posted. I knew how she marketed and stuff. And I knew the business kind of aspect of it just because I had tried the hair, skin, and nails a few months before that. And I got really great results. I'm a blonde. And so I just wanted my hair to grow and be healthy. So I already had results with that product from somebody else. And so I just immediately started posting about that. And within my first 30 days, I went diamond. And then my second month, I went double diamond. And my third month, triple. And then 4 months in, I went presidential diamond. And that next month is when I left corporate America. So just 5 months in, I left corporate America, and I've been full-time with It Works since. And then the next month in October, I was able to pay cash for our wedding. I mean, didn't have to take out any loans, no credit cards, nothing. We were able to pay for everything, all the bridesmaids dresses, all the groomsmen stuff, all the flower girl stuff. Like, literally, it was a dream, and we were able to pay cash for it. We didn't even have to go into debt getting married. And so it was so cool being able to like experience that and not have the debt lingering over us of like the bills we were going to have to pay afterwards. So that's kind of when I got like a little sneak peek of kind of like, wow, like this business can really do like awesome things for me. And then that following December, I found out I was already in the top 150 in the company when we went on the cruise. And then my 11 months in, I went ambassador diamond. And so the first year in this business was really just a constant, just like it was just the kind of like where you're on your highs all the time. Like I really hadn't like had a lot of team quit. We promoted so fast. I didn't really have anybody leave and go to other companies or quit because they weren't interested anymore or just give up. Like I didn't really have a lot of people quitting because we were just on a constant kind of high there for a while. And so after I went Ambassador Diamond, the next month I found out I was pregnant. And so we were expecting our first child, and that was really exciting. I had the perfect pregnancy, and literally like my blood pressure was always great. I passed all my glucose tests. Like I'm only like 100 pounds. And so people were usually really worried about me carrying a child, but it was like the perfect pregnancy. And then one day I woke up and I was super swollen and I just felt funny. And so Ryan took my blood pressure at home and he took me to the emergency room. It was like it was really high. It was like one something over 104. And he was like, that you're 100 pounds. Like that's not normal. And so he took me to the emergency room. They got me to like their labor and delivery department where I've never been to this hospital before. It was and so we went in there and they ended up telling me they were about to have to deliver Riker an emergency C-section because my blood pressure was like 187 over 126 and they didn't know how I wasn't seizing and like stroking out yet. And so they're like, the only way to cure preeclampsia, which is what I was diagnosed with, was to deliver the baby. Didn't know these doctors, had never been in this hospital before. And so I was just like, okay, like God's in control. So we ended up delivering Riker that same day. Like this all happened within 24 hours. So the next morning, or actually that night, so it was just a few hours after I had Riker, they ended up having to Metaflight him to the closest NICU because that hospital didn't have a NICU. They couldn't get get me stable enough to transport me to be with him. So Ryan had to leave to go be with him in the NICU. And then they ended up transporting me an hour away to a different hospital where my original OB and stuff was so that he could monitor me and get everything situated. So I was actually separated from Riker for the first 11 days of his life. Like what kind of like, it's so crazy for a mom. Like I was like so worried about the bonding. I was so worried that he wasn't gonna get to spend any time with me, but I was also so thankful that Ryan was able to go do that. And Ryan was able to be with him in the NICU for those almost 2 weeks. And my mom stayed with me. But if it wasn't for this business, I would have been stressed about the income. I'd been stressed about money. Like, how are we going to do this 2 weeks off of work? And usually, like, I was the one thinking about being on maternity leave, like not Ryan. And so, but during that time, I was just worried about Riker. You know, he was born 4 weeks early, so he was premature. And that was just like a really crazy like experience. And I went through a little bit of postpartum stuff just because he was so tiny. And we were separated for the first 11 days. And so I really didn't know, like I was a new mom, all these things, but the business aspect was never something I had to worry about in the income because we have residual income. And so that was when I first got a dose of like, wow, like this business was put into my life for so many other reasons rather than just like being home and traveling and making good money. Like it was put in it was put in my life for these reasons and for like the times that life doesn't go according to plan. Like no one plans to have their first delivery, you know, chaotic like that and be separated from the child for the first 11 days. So then, so things kind of like mellowed out. We got used to our new normal and everything. And Riker's now a healthy 3-year-old. But then last year, more life hits. And so you're thinking, you know, like, you see Instagram and you see Facebook and you see all these things and you think like life's always perfect. Like I'm not really one that ever posts anything about the negatives. So a lot of people won't ever know about the lows you go through. They only see the highs. So they think, you know, it's always been so easy, but really like this business also teaches you kind of how to conquer and to get through, but it also teaches you all the people that are here for you. And so in 2019 was probably the worst year of my entire life, but so it was February of last year. I ended up having my daughter stillborn at 20 weeks. My husband came home and found me passed out in a pool of blood. I had a placenta abruption, and Riker was there with me. And I don't know how long I was like unconscious. Ryan got me to the emergency room, the same emergency room that I delivered Riker in with the same OB that delivered Riker. She's probably thinking like, this girl is like in here all the time with all of these like crazy scenarios. But I don't remember the first 3 days. Like I'd lost so much blood and stuff and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. So they had to transport me up to OU to their like intensive care unit. And they kept telling Ryan they didn't know like what state I was going to be in like when I came to, because I had lost so much blood during all this and was hemorrhaging so bad. Like they think if someone that's 100 pounds loses this much blood, like we don't know how there's not going to be some neurological things going on. So I remember like when I came to and there was like a light bulb and I like kind of woke up even though I was awake this entire time. And so that's when they told me that there wasn't any amniotic fluid. And so I had to deliver her. And so Ryan had to make the decision for me to deliver her because I guess I wasn't in the state of mind to make that decision. And so he had the like say in it. And so during all of this, like Ryan's trying to navigate, me having the child, knowing that the child's not going to survive. Like, was I going to resent him? How was I going to feel when I came to terms like with what was going on? But he also had to do like what was best for me in that time too, because like we knew we were going to lose the baby, but he wasn't going to sacrifice losing me in the process because they said if they didn't take the baby and deliver the baby, then eventually she was going to die and I was going to have infections and it could cause me to die. And they didn't really know what state I was going to be in when all of it was finished because at this point too, like I had lost some of my speech at the time. And if you know me, like I am a talker, like I could talk all day long, 90 to nothing all the time. And I couldn't talk. So that was the scariest thing for me is my speech was like, I knew what I was trying to say. I just felt trapped in my thoughts. Like I couldn't articulate it. And it was really scary for Ryan because he's like, she talked all the time and now my words were slurred. They didn't know what was happening. And so after I delivered Rylan, things started kind of like normalizing and my speech started coming back like a little at a time, like as the next 24 to 48 hours happened. But they said it was almost like she was attacking my body. Like she was almost like it was the weirdest thing. So that happened. And then we were in the hospital for like 7 or 8 days. It took a couple of months for me to like fully get my speech and stuff back. But now, I mean, that all is okay. But then that was all in February. So then we get to March. Okay. And so I'm like, like just had the worst month of my entire life. And so then March rolls around and we just had some team promote and we go have dinner with them. And it's like about 30 minutes from my hometown. So like I know the area really well. There were just some local teammates that we had. So me and my friend Kristen, we went to eat dinner with some of our team. On our way back, a semi pulls out in front of us. It's about 11:30 at night and a semi pulls out and going the opposite way I'm going. And we hit the trailer. And so I started to miss it and it completely took out my side of the car. It was completely totaled. I got knocked out once again. Like I just keep getting like knocked out and being incoherent through all of these things. But the ambulance showed up and I had a completely crushed ankle. So to take us to the ER, then I have to eventually go see an orthopedic surgeon. I have surgery and they had to add 10, it was completely crushed. Like they had put 10 screws and a plate in my ankle. And then it took about 3 months of no weight whatsoever. And then it was like 3 more months of rehab after that. So literally last year was literally pretty much me on bed rest, literally all year long. And so it was just like one of those times though, but like that again, like it's like one of those aha moments. Like I never had to worry about the income. I didn't have to worry about working my business. I didn't have to worry about my team working. I didn't have to worry about, because I mean, Ryan was off for this whole time because I have a 3-year-old at the time he was 2 to stay home with. And so when I'm the one that is home with Riker 24/7 and I'm the caretaker and Ryan's usually gone working and stuff like that, like if I can't walk, I can't take care of my child. And so Ryan had to be off of work from February to September. He went back in September, that whole entire time. So because of this business, he was able to be home with me during literally the worst, like in the year of our entire lives. And I said, it just what goes like when things happen, it's one of those things that you're just like, aha, like these, like the things you're doing now, if your business is on a constant high right now and you have momentum and you're doing good, like those are the times that you have to embrace like what you're doing, because those are going to be the things that pay you whenever things aren't going as planned, when things are getting rough and things are going bad and you think how could things possibly get worse. Because when I was going through all of this, yes, I mean, I still worked my business. I had my highest paychecks when I was on bed rest last year. And that was because, I mean, I'm in bed 24/7. Like, what else do I have to do but work? But I've also been I've always been those personalities that I thrive more when things are hectic and things are chaotic, because I kind of always been one of those things that kind of I feel like saves me. Like if I can't control what's going on around me, then my business is something I can control. My business is something I can see results with. And everybody around me was like totally supportive. Everybody was calling me and praying over me. And Mark Pentecost, his wife, she was calling me and messaging me and praying over me and sending me gifts. And she still to this day will message me when she hears a song or sees a memory verse or just something she thinks that makes her think of me. And whenever you have your own business like this, you are the CEO of your own business, you guys. And if I was working for corporate America, they would have saw me as just somebody they could replace. They could have easily filled my position if I was working for another corporation or working for someone else. They can easily just replace you. But when you own your own business and you work your own business, no one can replace you. No one can take your spot. And so that's when I also, like, one of those aha things happened is I probably would have gotten fired. Or I mean, if I had to be on disability or worried about, I mean, usually even on disability, you only make about 50 to 60% of like what you normally bring home in a week. And so we wouldn't have been able to live off of that. And so it just goes to show like what you're doing now is really going to pave the way for when things are not going the way you planned. And so this business like was brought into my life kind of in a chaotic time, but it's always been there for me during all the chaos that happens. And if you haven't experienced a lot of life yet, I promise not to scare you, but you will experience life. People experience divorce. People experience medical issues. People experience problems with their kids. You know, people lose people. Like, it's just one of those inevitable things that we all go through things. But with this business, you have such a tribe of people that are there to pick you up. I mean, I had people not even on my team, like Amber Parker, just messaging me saying, is there anything I can do for your team while you are going through this? Like, is there anything I can do to help you or help your team? Like, they weren't even on my team. I don't have anything to do with their paychecks. And they were reaching out to me to see what my team needed while I wasn't in that mindset to be able to be doing trainings and lead efficiently. And so just remember that, yes, the money is great and the income is amazing and you're pushing for all of these things, but you're also part of a huge tribe that's always going to have your back. And I think if I've learned anything in the last year, that things are not always going to be rainbows and butterflies. But you just kind of have to embrace your story. And those are like what you go through. Just let it define you and let, it be your story that you tell people, because like I've always been one of those ones I don't like to really share. I share it with a lot of you guys and I share it now as part of my story. But on social media and stuff, like I've always been one of those ones that I don't like to share it just because I've been one of those ones that I don't like people feeling sorry for me. Usually if something's wrong, I have a hard time expressing that because I don't like that, like the sympathy card or people feeling bad for me or anything like that. So it was always hard for me to share it. But at the same time, I've learned that the more I share it, the more you can reach people. So if you're going through something, talk about it. You can even use your story, not even just with social, or not even just with like It Works people, but on your social media. That's what's going to make people relate to you, is to know that you're not perfect, that your life's not perfect, that we all have hiccups, we all have things going on in our lives, and you're a human. And so that's your story is what is going to bring people to you. And so if you're going through anything, I just want you to embrace it and just know that your story can change somebody's life.
I love that.
That was a mouthful, but I hope you guys bear with me.
No, I was just thinking, like, seriously, I think we forget sometimes, like, and even me, just like listening to your story, and like, this is a very selfish take on your story, but like, I'm thinking like, and I think that I have problems, like, you know what I mean? Like, and it puts so many things into perspective of like the problems that we all think that we're going through. Like, we're so blessed that like, it's not something so much bigger. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that we can all relate to that in some way. And so I appreciate you being so vulnerable and so honest, because like I know it's not easy, and especially like with your personality, and just like not wanting people to feel bad for you. Like, that's not what your goal is in telling people this. It's just to show people that like, hey, like I've been through stuff really bad and the business is still here. What would you say, to somebody who is not, who hasn't seen the financial success yet that you saw super early, but is still going through life? I mean, to some degree, we're all going through life with all the crazy stuff that's happening outside of our little It Works bubble right now, because it doesn't feel like it's like when I like get into doing business, it's like, oh, I forgot that we have this virus that's going on. But outside of that, like just people who are experiencing layoffs and who are going through like the tough times, like, but they haven't necessarily seen the money, what would you go back and like tell yourself?
I think it's something, I think a lot of people too, like I've even been talking to my team about this too, is, we've all kind of like, you see people and you see like a lot of ambassadors and you see a lot of like VIPs and stuff and you think, oh, I wish I could work from home. I wish I could make the income they make, or I wish I could just work from home. Well, right now, a lot of you, if you do work your jobs or you've been laid off, like you have the opportunity to work from home right now. And so it's kind of like, I could just been talking to him about this, is like, you're getting a dose of what it's going to be like to work from home. So now you need to take advantage of the fact that you're home and you have something that you can do to control your paycheck. And I don't fully feel like, 25 to 35, like, $1,000 plus is something people can relate to a lot of the time. But I mean, I think about, so I don't know, if like whatever your full-time income is, like start with that, start with just replacing that. You don't have to, your ultimate goal, yes, it can be to make $25,000 plus a month. But the deal is a lot of people just want to be able to pay their bills or make an extra $500 a month. Right now, if you're not having the choice to get to go to work and you've been laid off or you're in that situation, right now is the time to push your business. Like I had a girl on my team that just a little while ago, she told me that her husband lost his job. And so she's like, that just gave me an incentive to work my business even harder, because right now you do have an outlet to make an income, which is something a lot of people don't have right now. They don't have that extra side gig to bring in an extra income and they can control it. So this is the time that I've always been one of those ones when things are happening. And like I said, I was going through a lot of stuff that it made me push harder in a sense, like I said, because I didn't want to deal with a lot of things, but so it just made me push harder on things I could control. And your business right now is something you can control. So whether you're making an extra $100, an extra $200, an extra $500, be thankful that you can make that, because a lot of people that have lost their jobs and stuff right now don't have a way to make an extra $500. And a lot of people would give anything to make that extra $500 to pay their car insurance or to pay for, their meals, or to pay for your groceries, and so just be thankful for every dime that you are receiving right now, but also just utilize your time. And I know sometimes, like, when things are happening, right, like I said, with the virus going around, I'm kind of like you, I kind of forget, because like, a lot of people's businesses right now, you guys, they're booming. Like, and that's just because, as someone said it the other day on a Zoom I was listening to, it was another leader, and she was like, for some reason, our businesses like this thrive whenever we're going through a recession. It good thrives whenever people, are dealing with this stuff, because one, people are looking for an extra source of income. Right now is the time that people need extra money. So they're going to be looking for a side income. So this is the time that you want to offer the business. And it's not a selfish thing. It's not you don't care what's going on and you're just pushing it on people. It's, you still have people to help, and you have an opportunity that you're being selfish if you're not sharing it, because this could change somebody's life right now. And so people are going to be looking for something they can do to make an extra income, and they're always looking. So you just have to make sure that you're being present. And if you're at home right now, I said, a lot of you I know have kids, a lot of you are having to do homeschool. Your schedules have completely changed right now, but utilize your time, you guys, whether it's getting up an hour before your kids, if it's waking up or going to bed a couple hours after your kids, if it's kind of getting them started on something while you work your business, and communicating with your spouse and what that looks like. Communication goes a long ways, but treat it. Okay, we used to do, we've done it a couple of times with my team, but it was like one of those like exercises, and it was like, okay, jot down, some of your aspirations, like jot down 5 things that your highest self, what do you want? Like, what would if you had your highest like goals, like what would you want to achieve? Whether your income, your house, your land, what do you want? And then it was like, okay, so if those are the things you want, now I want you to write down 5 or 10 things that this person does every single day. So what is the perfect, you at your highest self, accomplishing all of these things? What do you look like every day? What do you dress like? Do you do your makeup every day? What time do you go to bed? What time do you get up? What are you reading? Just stuff like that. Like, if you're at your highest self, like what are you doing? And so I kind of feel like right now is the time that you can practice that, because you're at home. So what are you going to do? How are you going to utilize your time? Are you going to use it watching Netflix? Are you going to use it watching CNN or Googling what's happening with the pandemic? Or like, what are you going to do with your time? And so right now I said, if you are home or you are having extra time on your hands, this is the time to work your business and to be really serious about it, because while you're home, you're going to get a lot more done while you're at home than you are when you do have to go to your normal job every single day. So I think that's like something we can all work on, is figuring out what life would be like if you did this 24/7.
I love that. And that's so true. And I think sometimes it's easy to say that you want to work from home and you want to be your own boss, but like the reality of it is like I had to learn how to be my own boss. Like I had to learn how to become a better boss of myself, right? Because the hardest person to lead is you. And so often we can like disqualify ourselves from any other leadership just because we fail to lead ourselves. And I know that's something still to this day that I struggle with, still is like, okay, Kelsey, like, because even now that my kids are home so much, it's like, I feel this pull so often to be like, oh gosh, there's so many things I want to do for my business, but there's so many things I want to do with my kids. And it's like this pull, and it's really understanding like that longer term mindset of what are you really going for? What are you doing? And I heard somebody say the other day, so I hear so many people talk about how they want to go diamond. And if you want to go diamond, which is an average of $2,000 a month, I want you to put a 1 in the comments, that you're saying, yes, I want to go diamond. That put a 1 in the comments. I want to go diamond. And I heard somebody say, and they said, when you say, yes, I want to go diamond, you're not just saying yes to the $2,000 paycheck. You're not just saying yes to the accolades of getting that $15,000 bonus and your name getting put on a graphic. You're saying yes to the leadership. You're saying yes to the hard stuff. You're saying yes to the people that are going to quit your team. You're saying yes to the things that you don't like realize that are going to come with it. And in the Bible, I think it's the Bible, it says, to whom much is given, much is required. And so often that we forget that we have a responsibility. And it is not going to come without the struggle. And I think that often we want the reward without the work. And so can you tell us about a time that you felt like, I don't know if I want this. Like, when you're just like, there's some days where I wake up and I'm like, I just want to throw my friggin' phone against the wall. Like, like, no, like, just no, but yes. Okay. I know I'm going to, but like, just no. And cause I think that this part doesn't get talked about enough.
I think, I don't know that I've really ever had like just a moment that I was like, I've never felt like in a moment that I like didn't want to do this business, but you always have those days.
Right, not the moment, and that's not what I'm saying. So sorry if I said it wrong. Like, not of like, I don't want to do it, but like, I don't want to do it right now. Like, it's not like I want to quit, but like in this
moment, I thought you meant like the point that I'm like,
yeah, like it's like I'm just fed up. Like, not that I want to quit, but like I would much rather be on the beach drinking a cocktail right now than sending out messages. Like, I would much rather be going out to dinner with my friends than sending out messages. Those little choices where sometimes it's like, I feel like, and I think Gabby is the one who said it, it's like the micro moments is where your business is really made, like in those little small decisions.
Yeah. So, I can think of a couple. So like when I first started this business, I was still a college girl. I was working full time and I was going to school, but I was still 24 and finishing in my degree. And so I lived in Oklahoma State's a pretty big like college town. And so, when I first joined, when I was going diamond, I didn't even really fully know to the aspect of like what that meant. I just knew like how many boxes needed to be full and how many boxes needed 400. Like I knew the business aspect of it. But I stopped going out. I stopped going out with friends. I stopped going to dinner. I was like, no, girl, sorry. I'm going for at the time it was $10,000. I'm like, I'm going for a $10,000 bonus. But I was so like keen on that it didn't really feel like a sacrifice then, but I was just like, 'cause I was so excited and I was so new that it was just something like, you got that momentum and I was just excited to do it all of the time. But when you're in this business for longer and you build it, it's a diamond and plus, and you have all these leaders and stuff under you, when you've been in this business for a while, you're going to get those feelings where you're just like, not today, like not today. And I even get that sometimes with my phone. Like I'll look at my phone and all of a sudden, I'll click like read all. And then all of a sudden within 10 minutes, I have 60 unread text messages and I'm like, I can't. And then one day Ryan called and he was like, you never answer your phone. Why is it not on loud? And I'm like, if my phone was on loud, I would not even be like mentally prepared to talk to you.
And lose my sanity. Exactly.
Yes. I'm like, it's my sanity. I cannot listen to this phone go off 24/7. And then he was home one night and I was like, fine. And I turned it on loud. And within maybe not even 5 minutes, he was like, turn the phone back on silent. I was like, yeah, if you had to listen to this every day, I'm like, it's just ding, 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 whether it's Messenger, whether it's Instagram, text messages, it's constantly going off, which is so great because your team is texting you and your potentials are texting you, but everybody always needs something at some point. And so you're just kind of like mentally, you're like, okay. But then I had like just a couple of days ago, we had a deal and I felt so bad. And it was probably one of my first like mom guilt experiences because I've always known what this business does for me and the navigating of being home with Riker and working my business. And me and Ryan communicate pretty well on why I'm on my phone a lot. And when I have calls, like we can do that pretty well. And so there was other night, Riker was FaceTiming Ryan's mom and she just lives like 30 minutes away, but he has a younger sister that's only 18. And so Riker loves her, like would just hang out with her 24/7 if he could. So he FaceTimes her every night. Well, I was in here on a call and I was doing a training. I had like 60 something people on this training. Well, Ryan's in there and Ryan doesn't really play Xbox, but he has lately since he's been quarantined in the house. And Riker was wanting something. And I was like, go ask your dad. And I said, I'm on the call. Like, give me just a second, but go ask your dad. Well, I didn't know he had already asked his dad and he was FaceTiming Ryan's mom. So Ryan's mom told me how upset Ryan's sister was because she felt like Riker was just running back and forth between me and Ryan and we weren't giving him any attention. And I was like, and I kind of felt like that, like, because I was working and Riker was like, I don't want you to work, like, because he wanted attention. But at the time I was in the middle of a call and I'm like, just go ask your dad. But I didn't know he'd already asked his dad and she's like, go ask your mom, which I was working. And I was like, I kind of felt bad. And then I was like kind of upset, like, well, was he just running around the house on FaceTime talking to your mom? And then she just felt like we were just doing our own thing in separate rooms and ignoring him the whole time. And I was like, no, if anyone was ignoring him, you were ignoring him because you were playing the Xbox and I was working. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and feel bad because I was working and because, I'm the breadwinner. So I'm like, if you like our paycheck, then I have to work. So I was like defensive about it. But that was the time that I almost caught myself like feeling bad and feeling guilty about that scenario. But at the same time, I have to work, like, regardless of what people think about your business or think about what we do and that it's so easy and you just sit around and you just have money pouring into you all the time. Like, no, it takes work. And I have calls and I have trainings and I do most of my things in the evening when Riker's kind of winding down and getting ready for bed. And so I kind of had to take that scenario with like, okay, like, no, I was working my business and I was doing this for my family. And that's something I have to do and a sacrifice I have to make is some of those evenings. Or Ryan sometimes gives him his bath. When I'm doing a call, Riker takes his bath every night and puts his pajamas on before he goes to bed. And instead of me doing it every night, Ryan usually does it, which is sometimes weird. I guess it's because usually the mom always does it. But me and Ryan are really good about communicating back and forth. And so Ryan just does it. And then I lay down with Riker. And it's just kind of our routine. So I think like the biggest thing is like when you're feeling that way or you have things going on that you're making sacrifices for, find a balance, communicate, find a balance, whether it's going to dinner with your friends or it's spending in the evening with your husband or hanging out with your kids. Like I've always said, like whatever it is you're doing, give that 110%, because it's going to take a lot of your anxiety away. And I've always been somebody that I do better and I work my business better the busier that I am. Like when I was going to school full time and working full time and had no extra minutes, I promoted super, super fast. But when I had more time on my hands and I was doing this full time and didn't have a child yet and was just married, I sat around a lot because I didn't really know what to do to be my own boss and to like hold myself accountable. Because now I'm like, I don't have to crunch this many messages into 30 minutes. I don't have to go take 10 bathroom breaks to send out these messages or respond to this person. So like I'm a procrastinator, which like that's a nightmare if you're a procrastinator because I'm like, oh, I have 30 more minutes to do that. I'll do it in another hour. I'm going to go do this and in another hour I'll do it. So I have to learn, like part of myself is kind of sticking to a schedule, like every single day, doing a certain amount, like whether you're a list person and you like to mark things off your list, like I'm a list person. So I make a list of my to-do list and I put down how many like messages I'm sending out, how many times I'm posting to my Facebook stories, how many, like when to check in with my team. And I mark it off of my list, but I just make it a part of my to-do list so that I can go through and mark it off so that I just make it part of my day and my checklist. And so that should be like how your business is just working it into your day and how best it fits. And so give that 110% so you don't feel that guilt and stuff, because like, you're going to feel it at times, and you're going to feel like you're neglecting something in your life, because when you have all these things going on, something's going to feel neglected. But you're doing this for you. You're doing it for your family, your future family, and you just have to always keep that in mind. And when those thoughts creep in, you have to stop them, because if you let them wear, they're just going to kind of amplify.
Yeah, no, that's so good.
Sorry, I get on a rant. I'm just like,
No, but it's also good, and it's also true. And I love like the personal stories, because I think that sometimes we can say things, but like if we don't have that like personal story of like all that whole thing that happened with Riker, it's like, no, like, listen, bro, like my husband's on the Xbox, like I'm working.
yeah,
like
I almost cried. And I was like, wait, if anybody was neglecting him, that was you. I was like, you were just playing a game and I was working. Why do I feel bad?
yeah. And I think sometimes, I think mom guilt happens whether you're in this business or not. And it's not the business's fault that the mom guilt happens. It's just part of being a mom. Like, in my opinion, like, I think it's just part of it. Like, I feel mom guilt all the time, like, of mom guilt. Like, even it's gotten worse since we've been home, because my kids are home so much more. And so I do like have more time where I have to separate it and be like, but like, to be honest, my kids, like, I asked my daughter the other day, I was like, what do you want to do? Like, when you grow up? She's like, I'm going to work. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do for work? She's like, I'm going to be like you, and I'm going to be on my phone and help people a lot, like when I'm on my phone. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And she's like, yeah. And I'm going to be a mom too. And like, but it was like cute how she like said like both things, and it didn't like make her think that she had to just be one or the other, because typically that's what you can be taught when growing up. And so I think we just have to like give ourselves not like a break, because like I'm not saying that like you should lessen the standard for what you have for yourself, but like there's grace involved in every situation, and you're never going to be perfect. Like I'm never perfect. But I do know how to apologize to my kids. And I do know like when to say, listen, like I also want to create very independent children, like who know that mom has to work, who know that they need to entertain themselves, who know that they can go play together. And I think that that's okay. Like that's what I want. And we have to be okay with that. So let's go back though. Let's go back to when you promoted, and you're promoting so fast. Like, and I know people probably ask you this all the time, and you probably blacked out, because that's how I feel about every promotion. It's like I just blacked out. Like I don't really know what happened or how it happened. But what do you feel like you did differently than maybe other people did to promote?
I think as soon like I had so much success so quickly. I said I was before like I really knew anybody in this business, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I came in and I said I knew Kortney Bohr, I knew Ashley Mirth and Jade Hooper, because they were my direct uplines. But I didn't know everybody in this business. Like I didn't know Alyssa Bilyeu, I didn't know Jocelyn Gates, I didn't know all these amazing people that you have to compare yourself to. Like I literally, when I came into this business and I was promoting so quickly, I literally thought that was normal. I thought people came in and did it all the time. And so Jade, when she was freaking out after I went presidential, she was like, you're doing what nobody else has done. And I was like, she talked about Ashley Sinclair, like she had done, so fast, but she was like, I was like, people don't promote that fast. And she was like, no, she was like, they don't. I literally thought what I was doing was just normal and everyone did it. I didn't have anybody to look left and look right to, or compare myself to, or wondering why they're enrolling and I'm not enrolling. I was just laser focused on what I like had going on. And I think that had so much to do with the success, because I don't feel like I had anyone to compare myself to. And so I said, when I came into this business, I think a lot of people come in with a little bit of doubt, a little bit of people aren't going to want this, or our stuff is too expensive, or who do I know? No one's going to support me. I don't know enough people. I'm from a really small town. I graduated with 30 people. Like from a really small town. And so, but I never, not once had that mindset. When I came in, I'm like, I hadn't really heard of It Works. Like I saw it like posted, like when Kortney posted, but I didn't know a lot about it. Like I knew they had a wrap, and I knew I tried the hair, skin, and nails, but I didn't know the business aspect. And so I literally thought I had my hands on something everyone wanted. I'm like, who's not going to want this? Like, who's not going to want to tighten and tone? Who do I know that wants to grow out their hair? Who do I know that wants to lose weight? Like I just constantly thought like, I have my hands on something everyone is going to want. And then I'm like, everyone's going to want to make money. If I'm making $500, everyone wants to make that. So I literally just didn't have like that negative mindset from the beginning. Like I just didn't have any doubts. What I was doing, if I enrolled a distributor, I wanted another one. If I enrolled a customer, I wanted another one. And I think too, like when I enrolled that one and I was hungry for another, I remember, and I still to this day do it sometimes, but I was very adamant back then. I could not let myself go to sleep until every conversation was finished. Like it didn't matter if stuff, I think it's pretty like just present day. If this was me back then, if I sent out 35, 50 messages for host to post and people were responding to me and I had 15 conversations going and it was midnight, I wouldn't let myself go to sleep till every conversation was finished. Either they were in the system or the conversation was just like there was nowhere else to go with the convo. And so I feel, and I still am weird about it now because I feel like I can't let a conversation end unless it's just over, because I feel like if you have to like have conversations when they're hot. You have to get, yeah, like I said, you're going to feel tired. You're going to feel like sometimes when you just like, oh, I'll just answer it tomorrow. I'll just look at it tomorrow, or I'll just get back with them tomorrow. And when you do that, then you're looking at things like it's on your time. And so sometimes you have to like change it around and you have to talk whenever they're available. You have to, because like right now might be the only 30 minutes they have to talk about the product. Right now might be the only hour they have to discuss the promotion, and what would take a 30-minute conversation or get them on the phone real quick. Now it's going to take a 5-day process until they actually have enough time to get signed up. But if you talk to them whenever they are reaching out and talking back and forth, then you want to have it and like make sure you don't like let the conversation go and like you go to bed and just end it until it's over, until there's nothing else for you to respond to. And so that was like my biggest thing back then, is I would have all these conversations going and I lost a lot of sleep. Like I would wake up, I think I had to be at work at like 6:30, so I'd wake up at like 5. I lived 5 minutes from the hospital, and I'd wake up 5:30, and I'd go to bed at like midnight, 1 o'clock. But it was so worth it. And I just feel like I was just constantly excited. I was constantly sharing it, and I was constantly talking about what I was going for. I was talking about my goals. Like, I'm going to go diamond, and they're going to give me a $10,000 bonus. Like, anything my team did, I was shouting them out from the rooftops. Like, they got their 4 customers. They earned a $100 shopping spree. I got $100 in bonuses. Like, everything everybody was doing, I was just constantly celebrating it. And I think sometimes we stop doing that because we're scared of people like poaching or people coming from other companies and stealing our people. And so I think some of that's kind of gotten lost, like constantly praising our distributors and stuff on our personal pages. But even if you just do it on your team pages and stuff, your distributors and your team, they love to be recognized. They love to know they're doing a good job. They love to know that you see them. And so I think back then too, just constantly loving on them, shouting them out, praising them, and like just celebrating every little achievement they had a lot to do with everybody just wanting to do more. Because I mean, everybody likes that attention. Everybody likes that recognition. And so I think that had a lot to do with it too, is I was constantly, every single person, just loving on them, praising on them, and just like not letting them have any single doubt. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. And so I literally just didn't overcomplicate anything. I just knew, I just looked at it like business strategy. Like I know like people are more than a box, but when I was looking at it business wise, like I just knew every person, every box was a person, and every person needed 400 in volume. And even if they weren't working, I knew if that box was filled and my chart was full, I had the power to promote. If I had to get all the customers, if I had to get them to 400, I had the power to do it because I had a distributor there. So I just feel like I just kind of always looked at it like a strategy and just kind of went.
So good. That's so good. And I do think there is a lost art of like praising your team publicly, like, and not even like I don't know why that is. It definitely wasn't because like people don't want to do it. I think it was just like there's a combination of things. Like, you know, everybody's Instagram tries to look like, oh, so perfect and like whatever. And just like really understanding, like, I know back then, like I promoted to Diamond, like posting pictures of my kid's bottom and talking about fat fighters, you know, like there were so many mistakes that like I made and like disgusting, like odd, weird posts that I did, but like I still made it work because it was so just like authentic and real.
People signed up.
And people wanted to see, listen, people want to follow people who win. And when everybody around you is winning and you're seeing other people's wins on other stories, then like they're going to want to join. And I even like, I just put in the comments, like, I just have an aha moment because I don't do that enough anymore. Like, I don't know what happened, like when I stopped doing that, but like, I just don't. And so that's something that I'm for sure going to like be super intentional about getting back into doing 100%. Okay. What do you think like the hardest lesson that you had to learn in the business was?
I think the hardest lesson is that I've been probably just with the life and stuff, that not everything is going to be a constant rainbows and butterflies. Like I said, I had a really successful Rocker, please quit. First year. And then I think just learning that this is a business, you guys. You're in it for the long haul. You're not in it for the quick success and the 5 months and you make $100,000 and then quit. Like, you're not in it for the short term. You're in it for the long term. So people are always, hang on, baby. People are always, sometimes they come to me and they're like, it's so inspiring. You promoted so fast. And I'm like, what's inspiring? Denise Walsh, she took 5 or 6 years to go ambassador. She reached a new rank every single year and she didn't quit. And it said what took me 11 months took her 5 or 6 years. And guess what? We're at the same rank. Well, she's a black diamond. We're not the same rank, but we all made it to the top. And so I think just figuring out, you don't have to have a Brecker, please quit, a timeline for things. You just have to be able to know that you showed up every single day and did your best. And if you say you go diamond or you go double and you don't reach it, don't change the goal, just change the time frame, because we're all going to make it. But I think I had to learn to stop putting so much pressure on myself, because I think after I promoted so fast and I opened up my 2.0 account, I kind of felt that pressure of, do people expect me to go that fast again? And I was tired. Like, I was like, I don't even want to open up my 2.0 because I'm exhausted. But also I think I just felt the pressure of people feeling like I did it that quick, then I need to do it that quick again. And I think once I let go of that, I had more fun with the business again, because I kind of give myself a break, And so I think you just have to give yourself grace and learn and work through all of your stuff, but also know that there's not a time limit. Stop comparing yourself, stop looking left and looking right and seeing what somebody else is doing and wondering your worth and whether you can live up to all that stuff, because you're going to drive yourself crazy. And I think if you just kind of stay in your lane and you do what's best for you and what works for you and all that stuff, it just makes this business so much more fun. And I said, once I let that pressure go of trying to promote so fast again, I just let everything happen and stuff. I got the leaders that I wanted on my 2.0, and I'm about to go double diamond on my 2.0. But like I said, I let that go. And you just have to let the expectations you feel for yourself kind of just go, and give yourself grace and stop putting so much pressure on yourself to where this feels like a job, because you want to have fun with it. You don't want it to feel like, God, I have to text another person today, or gosh, I have to answer this email, or gosh, I have to do this training tonight, or I do not want to get on a call. Like, when you start feeling like that, that's when you need to take a step back and give yourself 24 hours of no cellular devices, no TV, or not TV, but no computers, no business, and give yourself 24 hours to recoup and then get back to work, because you're doing yourself a disservice if it stops being fun for you.
So good. So good. Because I think it is, it's so true that so many times we forget, hey, there's no time frame. Urgency is good. But you have to learn how to be aggressively patient. I'm going to go after it, but it's just because I don't hit the time frame or the time period that I want. I can't even tell you how many times I said I was going to promote to presidential. So presidential was one of the longest times that I think it took me a year and a half to go from triple to pres. And I remember being I'm so over presidential. If I never have to hear presidential ever again, I'm good. But I think that we realize that the lessons that happen along the way are what really it makes it worth it. And whenever I'm in those moments, I always tell myself I would much rather have something to go after anyways. I'm so glad that I have a goal that I can go after, because when in my last career, I didn't have a goal. They didn't have me on a path to success. It was a path of salary, and that was it. And I think that that job, it's we forget how blessed we are to have an opportunity where we do have goals, even if the goal can feel very big and can feel scary and can feel overwhelming. The fact that we have one in and of itself is a blessing. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think too, something that's really important is to not let people I think that's something I had to overcome too, is not letting people make you feel bad for your success and the things that you want. Because I know sometimes you get that negative people, when they're talking about the money, or that you're greedy, or that you just want money, or that, you're not good enough to make this much money, or that it's a lie, or it's a scam, or you're scamming people. People are always going to have their mindset, and they're always going to have their beliefs on what you do and why you do it. And the money that you make and all of that. And so I just kind of think you have to learn too to let those opinions go and do what's best for you, and stop letting people make you feel bad about the things that you want and the goals that you have. And so, I mean, people aren't always going to understand your journey, and they're not going to with this business, because there's so many people that don't understand what we do and they can't grasp it. They haven't like branched out far enough to understand. And so you also have to like let yourself not care what they think, because they don't write your paychecks. Like, they do not. If someone's going to write me a $30,000 paycheck every month, then their opinion might matter to me. But until that happens, it doesn't matter to me, because they're not paying me. They're doing nothing besides giving doubt to me, you know? And so I just kind of feel like you have to let that go and stop letting people make you feel bad for wanting those things and constantly wanting more. Cause like, I kind of got to a point too, I felt bad for wanting more. Like, I was at this point and things are great. Like, why do you want more? And so I think it's okay to like always have something to strive for, because that's going to keep you going.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think it's so good. I heard somebody say the other day that like gratefulness is, it's like the key that unlocks the next door. So like you have to be grateful for where you are right now in order to get to the next door, right? For where you want to be. But on that same breath, right? In that same token, it's like, if you want to help other people, who's going to feed the starving children if you're broke? Right? Like,
I
how
love
can you help people if you're not doing the things that you need to do to fill your own paycheck so that you can, with the abundance that God wants to bless you with, do that, do more with that? Because like, who pays for the Bibles in our churches? People that have the money that other people made them feel bad about. Who pays for the missionaries? Who pays for the people to do the things? It's like the people who have that abundant mindset. And listen, what God put on the inside of anybody out here who feels bad about wanting more for themselves or for their family or for anybody that they're surrounded by, like, you have to realize that like God didn't put everything, like he didn't, the dream that he gave you is going to be different than the dream that he gave somebody else. And it's not, doesn't mean that yours is bigger or smaller, but they haven't fully stepped into theirs. And you have, and that doesn't make you a bad person for wanting more. And so I love that. Thank you so much, Kortney, for being on tonight. If you don't mind, I'm going to pray over us real quick before we leave, and then I will let you go and be a mama. But I just appreciate you. And thank you, Riker. Thank you, Riker,
Thank you
for
for
sharing
having
your
me.
mama.
I know. Ryan came back in here and got him just now. I'm like, oh, I'm neglecting my child again.
Oh my gosh, no.
I'm like, it's fine. I don't really neglect him. It's just funny.
I know, it's so funny. Dear Jesus, we just want to say thank you so much for Kortney. Thank you so much for her heart. But also thank you for protecting her. Thank you for protecting her from all the physical injuries and things that she's gone through. And we just thank you for the strength that she has. It's so inspiring to all of us. And we're so grateful for everything that you've put inside of her so that it can be an inspiration for other people. We just ask that you give her the strength to continue to be able to shine her light so that she can help so many more people. And we ask abundance into her business. Every single person under the sound of my voice, I ask that you help all of us see people the way that you see them, that you allow us to give people grace, that you allow us to see potential in people and not weakness in people. And I ask you, Jesus, that you bless every single person under the sound of my voice, whether they're watching the replay or they're watching this right now with us, that they are blessed beyond their wildest imaginations, that you are giving us abundance, that you're pouring out the blessings that we don't even have room enough to receive. But let our character grow with the blessings. Let our character grow before the blessings so that we can sustain them. Jesus, we thank you so much for what you've done in our lives. And we're so grateful for single thing that you've brought us to, because you've brought us through it. And so whatever mountain we're facing right now, just give us the strength and courage to know that you're going to bring us through this one as well. But even more than that, Jesus, we're so excited for what you're going to do in our lives, what you're about to do. And we just want you to know that we're going to give you all the glory when that happens. Thank you, Jesus. We love you. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.